And do you know how hard it is to win the opening game of a Euros or a World Cup? So I think we have to sit here and say job done, don't we, from England's point of view?
Yeah, it's, a fantastic start. I've never been, in and around that situation where I've got the 3 points, but no, it's a fantastic start. The expectation going into the tournament and the hype around it was massive, and I think, England have delivered today.
You could see the reaction, couldn't you, Gareth Southgate and the players, Emma? It's actually relief, isn't it? Yep. It's out the way. There's so much build-up inevitably with England. There is so much expectation. That's the right word. And now they can, as it were, get into the tournament.
Yeah, and Gareth is happy to take the pressure and manage that expectation. And I thought he got everything spot on today for the team. They managed all the situations, especially, when Modric came into the game. I think that it's a job well done and 3 points on the board and something for the country to celebrate today.
It's a win. Didn't rely on Harry Kane. No one appeared to get injured. Didn't win 4-0 and people getting out of control, all that sort of thing. It seems like a sort of perfect package, doesn't it?
Yeah, but we started pretty well. You have to respect Croatia because of the calibre of players they've got, but the way we started with the players, with folding it in the post, with Raheem Sterling getting in behind a couple of times, and then obviously once they got in it a bit, you started to feel like, hang on a minute, are Croatia going to start doing what they're doing and start picking us apart? But they didn't in the end, and I thought we deserved it. We had some fantastic performances from some players, and we deserved the win. I'm just delighted that we've won the first game, so I can actually chill and relax a bit.
Yeah, let's just throw it forward, Ashley. What about Trippier at left back? I think that took a lot of us by surprise because there's Chilwell and Shaw in the squad. Do you see that potentially as a long-term thing? And what is Gareth's thinking in there?
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
To be honest.
You couldn't tell me on either? Yeah.
Well, yeah, you would assume that Luke Shaw or Ben Chilwell would have started the game, taking both of them. But again, it also goes down to what Gareth, for me, what I feel, does he trust the players? Does he trust them against Croatia? The first game, and as Gareth mentioned, a lot of inexperience within that squad as well. So could, Trippier play from the left, Kyle Walker play from the right?
So a bit of championship experience maybe came into it.
Yeah, and it's just that understanding playing a little bit more from position. Defensively they were solid at the back with the back four and then the two holding midfielders or the 2-8s at times. And I just felt they was a little bit more defensively solid. Whereas, can you trust a Luke Shaw or a Ben Chilwell to stay and play from position and keep the momentum and keep possession of the ball from deeper areas?
But, Ems, we were talking about the fact that they didn't seem close enough to Croatia's midfield, and I was starting to worry. There was a bit where I was starting to worry. I know they haven't got the...
What, midway through that first half? Yeah,
that's because we was talking about it, Ems, and it was quite worrying for a bit.
I think it's because of Modric's position. I think he started high in the first half and almost as a second striker. But as he started to drift a little bit lower, I felt then England struggled a little bit about when to get pressure on the ball with him, because he's that type of player. Both you said it. He needs half a yard, half a second, and his quality in possession is so outstanding that you have to nullify him. And I thought the second half, that's what England did. They nullified him with playing Mace higher, along with Phillips, and I thought every time they tried to build Croatia in the second half, there was much better pressure in the midfield.
Nobody had more column inches this week than Jack Grealish, and he didn't play. But 7 games in 28 days, end of a long season, and it's hot. I think if you were a Grealish fan, you have to be reassured, don't you? He will play a significant part in this because off the bench could well be key in this sort of championship.
Yeah, and you saw it. There was a stage there where he started to get warmed up when it was 0-0. But I think it's a good move from Gareth. Obviously, we got the goal. Everybody the confidence came. We were, like Emma says, we were a lot more closer to their midfield. I didn't feel like they were going to cause us problems unless we made a mistake. But like we did. In this particular game, it didn't need to bring on Jack because there was times in the first half where I think we do need to do something different to Croatia, where we get somebody who can get on the ball and commit players by running with it, making them commit them a little bit instead of playing it past them, trying to play it. But in the end, we got the goal.
Which is why he offers something so different, Jack Grealish, which, going back to what I said, makes you think he will play notable minutes, surely.
As rightly mentioned, he was warming up. I think Gareth understood the moments of the game and felt, it was getting a little bit stale. And I think they frustrated England at times. Defensively, Croatia at times was very solid. And it just needed a spark. And I think he is definitely going to bring that kind of spark to this England team.
It felt great to be back here. The atmosphere was incredible. And England gave us something to cheer about today.
Yeah, an absolute treat, as you said, being here live with the fans. And I think England controlled the performance from start to finish. There was a little section in the first half when Croatia made it a long ball game. You know, we saw on this side with Raheem Sterling was getting a little bit frustrated. But I think from Raheem Sterling through to Foden, his first touch hitting the post, I think England really looked like the team on top. I thought Croatia were poor today, but a great win for England, great start, and lots to cheer about for us.
I think on one side, the England players gave us a lot to cheer about, but also I have to take my hats off to the fans here. From minute one, as soon as that first whistle went, or the second whistle went, they were behind that team. They cheered. I think it was Calvin Phillips' first tackle in the first 5 minutes. So they set the tempo today, and somehow they made 20,000 sound like a sellout Wembley crowd. So hats off to the crowd today, and the players gave them something to cheer about as well.
Absolutely. And actually, I must mention that we were quite lucky, weren't we? Because we were sat in the stands, in the shade, and now being here, pitch side, you can feel the heat. So if it was a little bit slow at times, don't criticise the players because it was so hot out there today. And considering that, they put in such a good performance. I want to pick out a couple of players that you mentioned. Let's start with Raheem Sterling because there's been so much talk about him, especially when we saw the team selection today. Many questioned whether he should even be in the starting 11, but he showed exactly why Gareth Southgate has so much faith in him.
Well, I think with Sterling, as you said, that front three, we were all deliberating, for weeks and weeks, who is going to play next to Kane. And Sterling has the experience. This is nothing new for him. He's played in Champions League finals. He's played in World Cups. So I think that experience is what Southgate went with. But it's also the pace next to Kane. That was really important as well. But I think Sterling's body language, I was looking at it from the stands. He's playing like someone who's got something to prove. He's playing almost like he feels disrespected that it's even been a question for him to be in the starting lineup. And you saw that in the first half. His movement, he was lively, he was active. He was getting in the box, and then he's come up with the winning goal today. Really excellent performance.
And I think let's not forget Gareth's played in a major tournament in front of a home crowd, so he knows what the pressures are like in the first game. So listen, he went with his tried and trusted, he went with Sterling, he went for Trippier, and those experienced players delivered for him today.
And Andros, you also know what it's like to play an entire Premier League season, to score a goal and to not be able to celebrate with fans. I can only imagine how nice it felt for Raheem Sterling to get to celebrate that moment with the fans today.
Yeah, it's been tough, and I've said at times the saddest part about it is we got used to with no fans. We got used to playing without fans and no atmosphere, but when you score, that's your time. That's your time to celebrate with the fans and show them that you appreciate them. We haven't been able to do that for a long time, but it was great to see the lads score today and celebrate with the fans. It was really touching. The hairs on my neck to stand up when the goal went in.
And another player to pick out because he was instrumental in the goal and he was pivotal today, and that's Calvin Phillips. How good was he? He was a nightmare.
Exceptional performance from Calvin Phillips from start to finish. I think the midfield, those two holding midfielders were really important today for that defensive structure for the team. But he created, every time he got the ball, something happened. And for the goal, that clever sort of reverse pass into Sterling's run, he played almost like a quarterback today. He was exceptional. Really great performance from Calvin.
The goal was the icing on the cake. Myself and Annie was sat before the goal saying how well Phillips was playing, how he's England's best player. So the goal was the icing on the cake, but for me that position is really an underappreciated, undervalued position. That position, one of those two holding midfielders. When you're watching on TV, you don't really sense how hard these guys are working, and Calvin Phillips, he was first to every ball on the turnover. He was first player to put the tackle in. Coming down here pitch side and seeing how hot it is, I respect him even more for that.
Well, what I liked about Calvin Phillips today, he actually played a little bit higher up. So Declan Rice was a little bit deeper. Calvin Phillips was pushing higher up, and Mount actually was the quiet one. Usually we're used to Mount doing the work in there. Mount looked a bit leggy today, but Calvin Phillips, he really pushed on higher up, and you saw in the goal, he got higher up and created the chance and the goal.
Let's not forget as well, these guys played in the Champions League only a couple of weeks ago. These guys haven't had a full preparation for this. So Mason Mount and the other players, they'll be forgiven for having a down day. But listen, we'll get stronger as the tournament goes on. Like I said, our preparation wasn't great, but we'll get stronger as the tournament goes on.
We certainly will, and we cannot wait for England's next match. We will be stood here at Wembley for England against Scotland on Friday. Can't wait, Mark.